Picture this. You walk onto a plane, you're over 60, and without asking for a single thing, a flight attendant quietly pulls you aside and says, "We've moved you to a better seat." Nandidi, it happened to a woman named Patricia last spring on a transatlantic flight. She had booked a middle seat in economy. She ended up in an aisle seat with extra legroom near the front of the cabin. Nobody explained why. Nobody made a big deal of it. It just happened. And if you're over 60, it could start happening to you too, but only if you know what's going on behind the scenes. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on something that almost nobody talks about openly. The quiet, unofficial, and completely real ways that flight crews accommodate older passengers every single day on flights around the world. These aren't advertised perks. You won't find them on any airline's website. They aren't part of any loyalty program brochure. They are the result of decades of unwritten aviation culture, crew discretion, and a genuine awareness that certain passengers simply need more consideration. And people over 60 are at the very top of that list. Now, before we go any further, let me be clear about something. This isn't about gaming the system. This isn't about faking a disability or pretending to have a medical condition you don't have. What we are talking about today is understanding how the system already works in your favor if you just know how to show up, how to communicate, and what to ask for. The difference between the passenger who gets nothing extra and the passenger who ends up with 3 or 4 quiet upgrades on the same flight often comes down to awareness. So let's build yours. Let's start with the seat situation, because this is where most of the quiet accommodation actually happens. Flight crews, specifically gate agents and lead flight attendants, have more flexibility over seating than you probably realize. When a plane is not completely full, and that happens more often than airlines like to admit, there is an internal process of repositioning certain passengers before the doors close. Elderly passengers, passengers with mobility concerns, and passengers who look like they might struggle with a long flight in a cramped seat are often moved proactively. Not always, not on every flight, but frequently enough that it's worth understanding. Here's the key thing. This reseating process is invisible to most passengers because it happens quietly. A crew member walks up, leans down, and speaks softly. There's no announcement. There's no upgrade certificate. It's just a whisper and a new boarding pass. The passengers who receive this most often are those who present themselves in a certain way. Polite, unhurried, calm, and slightly vulnerable in appearance without being demanding or difficult. The crew is not rewarding entitlement. They are responding to genuine human need. If you're over 60 and you move a little slower, if you have visible joint stiffness, if you mention quietly to a gate agent that you have trouble with your knees or your back, you have placed yourself into a category that the crew is already trained to notice. Now let's talk about what exactly these quiet upgrades actually look like in practice, because the word upgrade might be making you think business class and champagne. That's not usually what this is. What we're really talking about is a collection of small but genuinely meaningful improvements to your travel experience. An aisle seat when you booked a middle, a seat in the first few rows of economy when you were assigned row 34, an empty seat next to you on a full-looking flight, early boarding that nobody announced to anyone else, a warmer blanket before anyone else asked, a pillow that the crew just brought over without being asked, extra snacks, a second beverage without the usual hesitation. These things add up over a 6 or 8 hour flight. They are the difference between arriving exhausted and arriving okay. And then there is the boarding process, which is honestly one of the most overlooked areas where older passengers consistently receive preferential treatment without realizing it. Most airlines have a pre-boarding announcement for passengers who need extra time or assistance. But here's what most people don't know. You don't have to declare a disability to take advantage of this. If you approach the gate desk before boarding begins, make brief eye contact with the agent, and simply say something like, "I'm a little slow getting down the jet bridge. Do you mind if I board a bit early?" The answer is almost always yes. Not because they pity you, because they have been trained to say yes to this. It keeps the boarding process moving. It prevents bottlenecks in the aisle. It reduces the chance of you getting jostled by the boarding crowd. You are actually doing them a favor by asking. This matters more than it might seem on the surface. When you board early, you get overhead bin space directly above your seat. You get time to settle without people pushing past you. You get a moment to speak with the flight attendants before the rush, which builds a small but real human connection. And that connection, that moment where a crew member sees you as a person rather than a seat number, is often what triggers the rest of the quiet upgrades we have been talking about. Flight attendants are human beings. They remember the passengers who looked them in the eye and said thank you. They do extra things for those people. Let's shift to something that a lot of older travelers don't fully utilize, and that is the pre-flight phone call or chat. In the 24 hours before your flight, most major airlines allow you to request what are called special service requests through their customer service lines. These are internal notes added to your reservation. Things like requesting an aisle seat if you haven't already been assigned one, noting that you have a mobility concern, or flagging that you need a little extra time on the plane. When a crew member pulls up the passenger manifest before a flight, these notes are visible. They change how the crew interacts with you before you even sit down. This is completely free. It takes about 5 minutes, and it essentially preloads the crew's awareness of your needs before you've even set foot in the airport. Now here is something that gets almost no attention, and it should. The meal and snack distribution process on longer flights is another area where older passengers quietly receive preferential treatment. This is subtle but real. Flight attendants are trained to notice passengers who appear to be older, especially those traveling alone, and to check on them more frequently during the flight. That extra check-in often leads to an extra snack, a second beverage without asking, or simply a more attentive overall service experience. Why? Because crew members genuinely worry about older solo travelers. There is a real culture within aviation of looking out for elderly passengers on long flights, particularly those who seem a bit tired or who might be managing a health condition. You don't have to announce anything. Your presence alone activates a quiet level of additional care. Let's talk about something slightly more strategic now. How you dress and carry yourself at the airport actually influences how crew members categorize you when they first see you. This might sound superficial, but it's deeply rooted in human psychology. Passengers who dress neatly move with a kind of dignified slowness and present themselves as gracious rather than rushed, tend to receive more accommodation across the board. This is not about class or wealth. It's about the unspoken signals you send about the kind of interaction someone can expect with you. Crew members are making lightning-fast assessments of hundreds of passengers in a short period of time. The passenger who looks unhurried, appreciative, and slightly in need of help is someone a crew member genuinely wants to help. The passenger who is already annoyed and demanding before they've even reached the gate is someone a crew member will process and move on from. There is a specific phrase that works almost universally when you're speaking with a gate agent or flight attendant as an older traveler. It goes something like this. I just want to say, thank you in advance. I know how hard your job is. That's it. That sentence, delivered genuinely and without any follow-up request, changes the dynamic of every interaction that comes after it. It signals that you see the crew member as a person. It signals that you are not going to be a difficult passenger. And it makes that crew member want to do something extra for you. This isn't manipulation. This is just being a decent human being. But it has very real practical consequences for the quality of your flight experience. Something else worth knowing is how upgrades to premium economy or business class actually do sometimes happen informally for older passengers. This is rarer than the seat within economy upgrades we discussed earlier, but it does happen. It tends to happen most on flights that are significantly underbooked in premium cabins, which occurs more than you'd think on certain routes, particularly midweek transatlantic and trans-Pacific flights. When a gate agent or senior flight attendant has discretion over empty premium seats, they sometimes offer them to older passengers, especially solo travelers, especially those who boarded with visible mobility issues, and especially those who were pleasant and grateful during the boarding process. There is no formula for this. There is no guarantee. But it is real and it happens, and the passengers who receive it are almost never the ones who demanded it. They are always the ones who made a human connection with the crew. Let me give you a specific scenario to illustrate how all of this works together. Imagine you are flying from, say, Chicago to London. You're 68 years old. You have a little arthritis in your hips. You booked an economy ticket because that's what your budget allowed. Here's what the difference looks like between the average passenger experience and the experience of someone who understands what we've been discussing today. The average passenger shows up at the gate, waits in line, gets on when their boarding group is called, struggles a little with their bag, sits in their assigned seat, and makes do for 8 hours. The passenger who knows what we know does something different. They call the airline the night before and add a note about mobility. They arrive at the gate early and have a warm, brief conversation with the gate agent. They mention simply that they move a bit slowly and ask if early boarding might be possible. They board, they settle, they greet the flight attendants with genuine warmth. And then over the course of the next 8 hours, they receive aisle access checks, extra water, perhaps a better blanket, maybe a move to a more comfortable seat if the plane isn't full. They arrive in London in meaningfully better shape than they would have otherwise. Same ticket, completely different experience. There is one more area we haven't touched on yet, and it might be the most valuable thing in this entire video. It's what happens after you land. Specifically, it's about deplaning. Most passengers don't think about this at all, but for older travelers, the end of a long flight can be the most physically demanding part of the whole journey. Standing up after 8 hours in economy, reaching into the overhead bin, navigating a crowded aisle, walking a long jet bridge. All of this is genuinely hard on older bodies. And here's the thing, crew members know this. If you simply make brief eye contact with a flight attendant as the plane begins its descent and say something like, "Could I have a few extra minutes when we land to get my things together?" you will almost certainly get it. They will let other passengers off, and then when the aisle clears, you get a calm, unhurried deplaning experience. No one pushing past you, no rushed scramble for your overhead bag, just a calm and dignified exit from the aircraft. Some airlines have also developed formal programs that most older travelers haven't discovered yet. A handful of major carriers have quiet assistance programs for passengers over a certain age, particularly those traveling alone on long-haul routes. These programs can include a crew member checking in proactively during the flight, assistance with meals, and even a brief wheelchair or cart escort offer at the destination airport. These programs are not typically advertised on the main booking page. You often have to ask for them by name, or simply ask, "Do you have any assistance programs for older solo travelers?" when you call to confirm your booking. The answer might surprise you. Here is the big picture takeaway that I really want you to hold on to from everything we've covered today. The airline industry, for all of its frustrations and fees and crowded cabins, still has a deeply human core. The people who work on those planes and at those gates genuinely do care about the passengers they serve, and they extend quiet, unofficial, generous accommodation to older travelers all the time. Not because they are required to, not because it's in any rule book, but because human beings look out for other human beings when they sense that some extra care is needed. Your job as a traveler over 60 is simply to show up in a way that makes it easy for them to look out for you. Be visible in your need without being demanding. Be warm, be unhurried, be grateful, Express that gratitude before you've even asked for anything. Make brief, genuine human connections at each touch point of your journey, and then let the system do what it quietly does for people who present themselves this way. You don't need a first-class ticket to fly well after 60. You need awareness. You need the right words at the right moments. And you need to understand that the crew standing at the front of that aircraft is not your adversary. They are, more often than you might think, quietly in your corner. If you found this useful, please share it with someone over 60 in your life who flies. There are so many people boarding flights right now who have no idea that any of this is available to them. And if you want more tips on traveling smarter after 60, including how to navigate airports with less stress, how to handle long layovers, and which airline routes are consistently the most senior-friendly, make sure you subscribe because we cover all of it here. Travel doesn't get worse after 60. With the right knowledge, it actually gets quite a bit better.